It's not all up to God, which we already have talked about. But what are the steps that happen, and what are you supposed to be doing as you are experiencing this part of life? Again, it can be divorce, a hard time, or trying to find a spouse. It's not to say, again, that you are all responsible about it. So you just have to have the idea of giving it a try, or whatever you're going to be doing, and trying to learn the process of what's going on or the reason that led into this situation. Some of the questions that I like to ask people that are going through, for example, right now mainly is being divorced. It's been, what were the things that your spouse has told you, the reasons for leaving? One, because to see if you actually pay attention to what they were saying, and second, so you can try to see why you're trying to always put the blame on the superficial. Or it can be that at the end of the day, you can realize and put into consideration, like, okay, there was some mistakes I have done. So that's what I like asking them, the people that I talk to that have been helping, to tell me what were the reasons that their spouse left. Most of the times are superficial, what most people would consider superficial, and what gets them frustrated because it becomes like, oh, they told me about, because we have too much of this, and they will be like, okay, well, the reason we have that is because you wanted this. So they even become a blame into it. Or they want to fix the problem and be like, okay, well, we can sell it, we can get rid of them. Or if it's a lacking aspect, like, okay, well, we can buy them, we can get more of that. And the reason that they supposed to give you that, again, maybe because they haven't gone into the process of searching deeply of what's the problem of the issue. Because most of the time that's where they're also living, because they haven't find the solution. They have tried to voice out the problem, and I like to mention a lot of people, it's like, the dishes. And okay, well, we'll work on the dishes, or we'll work on the flowers on the car, chocolates. But again, sometimes the deep down work that the spouse also has to make, that is making the complaint, it hasn't gone deep. Not that the problem is not deep, but the search for them themselves have not gone through for themselves. So they're only able to express what they think will be the solution. And then the spouse only hears what is actually being said, but it's not listening between the lines. And that will be a really big challenge. And again, I will say I have failed so many times because I go with what is actually was said at the moment, and not what it was said deep down between the lines. So I will understand, and I completely understand everybody that gets confused when it says, but I do not understand how was that the issue. I have heard people say like, oh, because they say I control the radio, and it was the last drop, controlling the radio, because the hint that it was given in, for example, in that particular is control, and then the person is not trying, is so overwhelmed and trying to find a solution or trying to find a problem that they focus on, oh, because of the radio, you control the radio. So they went to a superficial aspect when the spouse could have listened and heard that control. So the idea of control. And so you pray to God, again, going back to this idea of God, I want my marriage, I want a new spouse, or no, not a new spouse, a spouse. How help me with this, and I leave it up to you. Put it in the feet of God, put it in the cross, and then God is making the invitation of sacrificing yourself and not thinking that you are the victim of the situation. Because at the end of the day, you also did choose this particular person, and you chose it for a particular way, and there has been a history that you are part of it. Even if your spouse betrayed you, we can go more into that one. Even if it was your spouse that betrayed you, was unfaithful, you have to take into responsibility that at one point you make the decision to be with this person, and everything that you did and everything that you did not do went into this process. Not to justify it, again, not justifying your spouse, even if it's on in the part where it's your spouse that is wrong, but also within you. Like, for example, you were the one that was unfaithful. So what is the process, or what led you into here? Make it to be that you are responsible, because sometimes because of when I'll just put it, when the man is unfaithful, when they tend to say, oh, because I didn't get this fulfillment from my spouse, I was not looking for it, I was just what can be an option, that I was with my secretary, and she understood me, she was able to listen to me. Again, even though you're gonna try to blame your spouse because you didn't do this particular things that will fulfill you, you have to put yourself and be like, no, I was responsible for this, for not putting boundaries with my secretary, or for not going into my spouse and trying to find a solution. And even though they can say we talked, we conversated, but do you put it where, like, I'm gonna make a change for this? Maybe for some reason your spouse didn't feel comfortable with you conversating because you made it difficult, or you were either too controlling or too weak to stand up and make what the people say you're a backbone, where it's like, I just give in to whatever he says. Then your spouse, again, was not ready or willing to have those conversations because you were not standing in the ground where she would be able to have a conversation with you. So that's the part where you are putting it to God and saying, please help me with this, but then going and searching, like, but let me know, what is it that you're calling me right now at this moment? And it can start by going to those words that your spouse said to you at the last conversation, or the last time, or the reasons that your spouse told you why she was leaving. But then try to go deeper, and what will make a person to feel this way? What were the steps that I do to make her feel this way, even if it was not my intentions? Because again, they said that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So not even if you got good intentions, it's like, because then later I can explain to you the cover contracts, like, okay, I'm gonna do something nice, but I'm gonna try to get something out of it. So those will be later on, but this is just the first part that I wanted to focus on, is trying to go back and trying to see how were you at fault in this, not to excuse the other person or to excuse yourself, like, I did this because my childhood trauma, or I was raised this way, or my culture is this way. No, but to understand yourself, making an invitation that God is giving you to be like, not to punish yourself, but to understand that so far all these choices that you were conscious or unconscious making got yourself up to this. But it's thanks to God, if you're willing to listen to him and follow him, that's going to guide you to see and to become the man that he wants you to be, because you are born in this particular time and this particular moment for a purpose. God put you in this moment, in this time, in this life, for a purpose, and He's making you through this painful event an invitation to follow Him. He will not push you or pull you. We will just make invitations for you to follow. Out of your free will, you will decide. So hopefully it helps. What are the first steps that you should be actually taking, instead of like not to take? Like, this is not the time to go buy her flowers, buy her the car, because this will be those times where you're actually gonna push her, because you're gonna be telling her, I could have done this all along, but now that you're leaving, I'm gonna do it. So it's gonna she's gonna feel like, oh, so you didn't care for me before. This actually proves you did not care, because now you're actually caring and you're giving it. Again, they will be in a particular mental state that anything that you do will be seen as negative. So the best thing that you can do right now is to be the positive for yourself, where it becomes, I'm not doing this so you can come back to me. It's because I'm doing this because I really need to change. I really need to become the man I need to become for myself, for my kids, or for my future spouse, or whatever God has for me. If it's hopefully with you, so I can become that better person. That will relieve that pressure from them to see them like come back to me, because that will feel as needy, as manipulation, or sometimes they say like a slap in the face, like you did have it in you, you just were too coward or too lazy to bring it out, and now that I'm saying it, now it's too late. So again, let me know if whatever other stages within this relationship you're struggling to understand, to help. And because again, I do understand the idea, like, but my intentions are good. Why doesn't she see that I buy him flowers now, chocolates? I'm willing to buy her a car. Why are those negative things? So again, write some comments, make reviews on what do you think I should be talking about next, and I will continue to explain a little bit more what I hope can guide some people on what are the steps that you should be doing. Because so many times it's like, leave it up to God. And I understand that sometimes it becomes frustrating in believing that why is God not listening? Why God is not doing anything? But it's not that He's not doing anything or that He's not listening. It's that we are not aware of the way He speaks. Yes, He speaks through the Bible. Yes, He speaks through your pastor or your priest. But He speaks to you very individually. The only thing is you haven't got the time to listen to Him and know that that's He who is talking. All right. God bless.